So it's me again. If you're watching, thank you for joining me. I'm pretty much just gonna do a look that I seen. I don't know if I seen it on Pinterest or did I see it on Facebook. I think I seen it on Pinterest. We're gonna be using the James Charles palette, and I'm gonna be using some colors that I wouldn't necessarily use every day, you know. So we're just gonna go into that. So just come and join me. First things first, I'm gonna start with the eyebrows. I'm gonna be using the ABH pomade. The color I'm gonna be using is caramel, in case you're wondering. So how have y'all been? This is my first time actually doing just a video by itself. I do try to do lives while I create, you know, my videos for YouTube, but this is my first time recording it without being on live, so I'm kind of like I don't know. But let's get into the look. Like I said, I'm gonna be using the Anastasia dip brow pomade, and what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be using an angled brush like this. I don't know, can you see that? And what I like to do is I like to start on the bottom line, and even from here I start from up here and then I work my way back, creating that line on the bottom. There you go. After we create that line on the bottom, I'm gonna create that top line. Almost poke my eye out with my nail. I look angry, but I'm not, promise. Mainly focusing that color on the outer part of your eyebrow, on the tail and the arch part. So like I said, all I'm doing is making sure I'm filling all that part out, which is the arch and the tail part of my eyebrow. This stuff's amazing. If you haven't tried it, the dip brow pomade, it's awesome. If you have any questions regarding the Farmasi products that I mentioned, I will be putting my link, so if you're interested in any of the products, just let me know. Also, you can message me if you're interested in knowing like the shades or anything like that. Just let me know. I don't mind helping out, because I know I asked questions about all these products I used before I bought them and started using them, because like I've mentioned before, I don't like using products that obviously cost money, right? And then don't work. So I'm like, I don't have time for that. I got too many kids to be worried about, to be buying makeup and just leaving it there and not using it. So I'm like, no. I got too many kids for that, man. And I need to make sure I got them settled before I can buy myself anything, you know? The one that worries about me is my honey. Like literally he puts us above himself all the time, you know? And it's sweet, but sometimes I'm like, you need to buy yourself some clothes, you need to buy yourself some pants, you need to go shopping for yourself. And he's like, no, I'm good, I don't need anything. And I'm just like, yeah, you do. Go buy yourself some shirts, go buy yourself something, you know? And he's like, no, I'm good, I don't need nothing. Even though all the time I'm like, yeah, you do. Go buy yourself something, bro. It took me a lot of convincing for him to buy himself a computer. Like, literally took me a lot for me to be like, dude, just go buy yourself one. You're interested in one. You're looking at how much they cost and all that. And I'm just like, just go get one. Just go get one already. But it took a lot of convincing for him to finally be like, you know what, you're right, I should just go get one, instead of keep saying I want one and then I don't go get it, you know. I'm just like, no, I think you deserve it. I think you should go get one. You're always putting us first. You deserve something that you want, you know. And he's like, yeah, but I just feel it's selfish. And, you know, he always tries to justify why he's not gonna buy it. And I'm just like, dude, just go buy something for yourself. Okay, so we used the pomade, and you see how I filled them out pretty much. What I do now is I go over the pomade with the powder, and the powder I'm going to be using, it's actually from Farmasi. Looks like this. And it's the color blonde. So if you're interested, just let me know. If you want a more natural look, use this powder with your brush dry. But if you want a more defined eyebrow, I like my eyebrows defined. So even after I go with the pomade, I still wet my brush afterwards. And then I dip it into the powder. Because, I don't know, that's just me. So what I do is I'm going over that pomade, right? I feel like just this extra step helps keep those eyebrows where they're supposed to be all day. And like, they do not move at all. If you ever tried the Anastasia Dip Brow Pomade, you know dang well that stuff does not move. So, how did everybody do with this weather that we had? Where I'm from, it was horrible these couple of days. Like I mentioned on my other video, I mentioned that the weather was bad. We were without light and without water and stuff like that, but we managed to pull through. Honestly, like, I'm really appreciative, because it could have been a lot worse, you know, and we could have been a lot worse off, you know, but luckily we were not. And we were kind of prepared, because ever since Corona, like, you know, when everybody started going crazy and started buying everything at the stores, when we would find like toilet paper and when we would find TP and napkins and stuff like that, we would stock up on it, just because we were like, okay, now's the time that we need to just make sure we have extra of everything. Even baby formula, when he was using formula, you know, even when he was using formula, we made sure we had extra, you know, and extra everything. So, and we still do that to this day. So luckily with everything that was going on, we had already stocked up on water and like necessities, you know, and even like canned food and stuff like that. And what do you call it, even sopas, like de meruche. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like the ramen noodles or whatever. Like, we stock up on that all the time, because I don't know about you guys, but I love to eat them with limon, and I like to eat them with hot Cheetos inside. So what I do is I get a big old bag of hot Cheetos, and I put some in a Ziploc bag, and I like smush them, I squash them or whatever, so they can get like flakes or whatever. And I like to put lemon, which we actually have a lemon tree in our backyard. So I don't know about now, because since the freeze probably like froze my dang tree, and I'm kind of sad about that, because I'm gonna miss my damn lemons. But I like to put those lemons in there, and with hot Cheetos. That's just like how I like to make those soups. And everybody says that's like the poor people's food, I guess you can say. Like, I'm so offended by it, because I grew up on that, you know, and I don't care what anybody says. That's like the thing, you know. It's like my comfort food, honestly. Like, I like to eat them just cause, like, I really sincerely just enjoy the flavor. I know it's not good for you, because they say like don't eat that every day because of the sodium that's inside those soups, but I honestly can. I can't eat them every day, but I try not to. Now you're probably like, girl, bye. I usually try to do my eyebrows before I like hop on or whatever, because I feel like this part takes me forever. See how I'm pretty much just using what's left on my brush with the powder? And that's what I use to fill in this part right here. Making sure they look related. Because sometimes my eyebrows be looking like they are not related at all. And I'm just like, they need to look at least a little related. Now what I'm going to go into is going to be the Tarte Shape Tape. And I'm going to go into the color Light Sand. And what I do is I just place them on my lid like this. Believe me, a little goes a long way. Sometimes I like go above and beyond and put too much of it on, and then I'm like, oh shoot. Well, see what had happened was, you know, I'm gonna be using the R32 for Morphe, and I'm just gonna go ahead and blend that concealer in my eyes, on my lids. Like I said, a little goes a long way, so just make sure you don't overdo it. And if you do put a lot on, just go back in there with your beauty blender and make sure you tap it out so you can get all that extra product, if any, you know. Yeah, I drag it all the way for no creasing. I don't want it to crease, so I'm just making sure I'm getting everything blended. I know it looks like really crazy, but I promise this step is amazing, y'all, because it not only fixes all the pigmentation and the redness and all that on your eyes, on your eyelid, it like gives you a blank canvas for you to work on, you know. Because I have a lot of pigmentation and my veins on my eyes show. So that's the reason why I like to go to this step instead of just going automatically into eyeshadow. Like, I have to put a base on. Like, I have to. I liked to use before the MAC Soft Orchid, the paint pot. That's what I used to like to set my lids before, but now I just like using this. Now I like to use the Tarte Shape Tape as my base for my eyeshadow. I feel like it covers everything on my lid, so I don't have any problems when I start placing the eyeshadow on here. Sorry if you hear my kids in the back. I do have kids and they are being kids right now. I have 5 kids all together. Yes, I said 5. It's crazy, right? My older 2 go with their father every other week, and we always used to be like, okay, if we ever split up, this is how we're gonna do it. The kids are gonna be going with you one week and they're gonna be coming with me one week. So luckily I have that relationship with him where we planned it like that, you know, and we decided if me and you don't work out, it's not the kids' fault, you know, and they still deserve to have both parents in their lives. So I told him, as long as we continue to be the parents that we are, there's no reason, you know, we should change that. So but when all my kids are together, let me just tell you, it's a crazy house in here, okay? But I feel like my life is full when all my kids are home. And my younger 2 from my honey, those are my bonus kids, and he has full custody of his kids, right? So he has custody of the kids, but he has it where he has the kids all the time, and he only doesn't have them every other weekend. And the way everything's been right now lately, we've been trying to keep them with us more than anything. But those are my babies, you know. That's why I always say my kids, they're all my kids, period. And we have a baby together, you know. And of course we always have the baby, you know. But the weekend that we don't have the small ones, and the way we did it was, we did it where it worked out for us, where the week that we don't have the boys, my older two, the younger two are the weekend, they're actually with their mom, you know. And then we just have the baby. But when we have them all together, it's a crazy house. It's a madhouse in here, okay? And it's crazy, but at the same time I feel like my life's so fulfilled, you know, with all the kids home. So what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna be using my face palette from Farmasi. And I like to do that part because I feel like it's easier to blend everything on my lids, my eyeshadows. It's easier to blend everything when I do this part. The reason I like to go in with the beauty blender once I actually go in with the brush is because I like to make sure there's no creasing of the concealer, because sometimes if you don't move fast enough or whatever the case is, obviously you have natural creasing on your eyelids, you know. So you just got to make sure you blend them out, because if not, then when you stick the eyeshadow on there, it just looks crazy and you're just like, whoopsie. I use the E61 from Morphe and it looks like this. Now the brush I'm going to be going into is the E23 from Morphe. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be going into two colors in the James Charles palette. Like I said, recently I've been doing a lot of looks using this palette, but at the same time is I feel like this palette is just perfect for everything. Honestly, you can do every type of color. You can do a natural look, you can do a dramatic look, you can do an everyday look, you can do something that has a cut crease with color, you know, very colorful, or you could just go with browns. It has a lot of shades in here, so I feel like it's just the perfect shade for everybody, you know. Okay, so once I set everything on my eyelids, I'm gonna go ahead and go into the shades that I'm gonna be using. And the colors I'm gonna be using from the James Charles palette are gonna be Boutique and Love That. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna dip it back and forth in between those two colors, and I'm gonna place that color on my lid. I'm gonna be using the R33, which looks like this. And I'm technically gonna pack it on to those areas, just so you know what I'm doing. I'm gonna pack it on. I don't like to put too much on my brush. I slowly build it up. I'm slowly gonna build it. And I am taking it close to the crease area. What I'm doing is I'm packing it, okay? I am bringing it close to the V area just to create that outer V on my eye. So this is the shape that we want. This brush is perfect. It gets like in that crease. I'm just using windshield wiper motions, just going back and forth into those colors that I mentioned. And I am bringing it a little bit into my crease. But as you see, I'm not dragging it up yet. When it comes to my lid, I'm just making sure those colors are there. When it comes to my lid area, I'm pretty much focusing the color close to the outer V part because I will be going back in and cutting that crease. This is the shape that we want, okay? I'm just making sure I'm going into those colors, and I'm actually just tapping it on my lid. This part, I kind of just messily put it on my eyes, honestly. And then I go back in. So I'm just creating that shape. As you see, I'm just like messily doing it, and then I'm gonna go in there and start tapping it on there. So I'm just roughly creating that shape that I want. Just roughly creating it. Don't get scared. Makeup is fixable, so just keep on blending. I want to drag it all the way out though. On my lid area, as you can see, I'm focusing really on the outer V part right here and in my crease area. The reason I'm not focusing right here on the inner part of my lid that much because I'm going to be cutting my crease. So like I said, I'm focusing mostly on the outer corner of my eye and actually on the crease because I'm going to be cutting my crease, so there's no point in me putting all that product there, you know? Do y'all ever have that one eye that just wants to do its own thing? It's usually my my case. It's usually my case. I always have one eye that wants to work with me and the other is like, yeah, no. Okay. So see how I just roughly placed it, because we are going to go back in with different colors and we are going to be blending it a whole lot better, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around what I just placed with the color called Love That with the smaller fluffy brush. And this one is the Morphe M330 brush, and it looks like this. And we're just going into the color called Love That, and I'm pretty much going to start going in and blending those harsh lines out, which are these. I'm just roughly blending those colors out. Sorry if I get quiet. I get quiet unfocused. See, so as you saw, I pretty much just roughly blended every single thing out. If you see me looking back, it's because I'm looking at the mirror. So as you see, I just use this brush to pretty much blend. If you hear my son, I'm so sorry. He's in this phase that he screams about every single thing. See, you hear him? He's screaming, but he's playing, so he's fine. It's just he screams. Now I'm gonna be going into the color called Rusted in the James Charles palette. It's kind of like an orangey color, and I'm gonna be using this brush, which is the M139 brush. It looks like this. It's just a smaller pencil brush. And you see the shape of it, it like has a point, so it's easier to get in there, you know. And I'm focusing that color right here in this area. As you see, I pretty much put rustic around the color called Love That, and I was just blending it, blend until you're happy with your blend, okay? And then now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and go to the color called B, and I'm gonna go above the color rustic so we can get a little bit of yellow dimension in there. Oh, I forgot to mention the brush I'm using. I'm using the M321. After I put the color B, I'm going to go back in with the same brush that we used to put rustic, and I'm just going to go ahead and blend that out. Okay, so after we blended that out, I pretty much now, I'm just going to blend it out a little more right here, sorry. Yes, it looks a little crazy, but once we start cleaning it up and then cutting our crease and stuff, you'll start seeing the final look, okay? So don't freak out now, because I know you're probably like, damn, I don't know about all that. Is I'm going to take a little cotton pad, and I'm going to be taking my water and cleaning that. Cleaning any fallout off my face, because we're going to start working on our face. Well, I'm just cleaning out any fallout. Okay, so I roughly cleaned up my eyes real quick. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the Shape Tape, put on the back of my hand. We're going to cut our crease. I'm going to be using this flat brush, and it's the M166 from Morphe. And like I did, I just placed a little bit of concealer on the back of my hand, and I'm going to be using this to cut out my crease. So what I like to do is I like to go close to my lash line like this. If you want to know a trick on how to cut your crease, this is a good trick. So what you're going to do is place it close to your lash line, the concealer. We're doing half a cut crease. So then you go like this, you roll your eye back and forth, and then it shows you where you're supposed to be cutting your crease at. A nice little trick I learned. If you get any of the concealer, like where you don't want to cut your crease, you can always go back into those brushes. And what I like to do is go into a smaller pencil brush, and then I like to define where I cut my crease at with the same shades that we used before. See, that's a neat trick, right? It just like pretty much cuts your crease for you, and you just follow the line. Okay, after you cut your crease, let me go ahead and clean that off real quick, because I always get concealer everywhere because I always keep it on the back of my hand. I always keep it on the back of my hand, and then I end up getting concealer all over the place. Okay, so after we cut our crease, I'm just gonna take any brush like this. This is another flat brush, and this is called it's the e.l.f. Professional eyeshadow brush, and it looks like this. What I'm gonna be going in is to the color called Wig in the James Charles palette. And I did wet my brush, just so you know, I did spray it. And what I'm going to do is tap that color where I placed the concealer. Just make sure you cover all that concealer where you cut it. And if you start losing or you start seeing that it's transferring to where you cut that crease, like I said, you're just going to go back in with the smaller pencil brush and you're just going to shade that in again. So don't freak out. So now I'm just tapping it on here. See? Bam. We're going to be using this brush right here just to blend the gold and this part out. And we're going to be going into the same exact colors that we used for our lids, which is going to be Love That and the color Boutique. Okay. Okay, so you see how I pretty much just blend the gold and the other shades together, just so I don't have a harsh line right here and it looks fully blended. Okay. What I'm going to do is take this little brush and I'm going to go into those same shades that I just pretty much used to blend this part out. I'm going to be going into those same shades just so I can go over the line where I cut my crease at, just to deepen and to also define my cut crease area. All I'm doing is going into those shades and define where I cut my crease at. In case the gold got on top with my brush, I'm just going back in and cleaning it up, pretty much. If you want that like snatched cut crease. Just to be a little extra, I am going to put glitter where I placed that gold at. And I'm going to be going into this e.l.f. one. And it's the color called Flirty Birdie. Just because we want to bring a little bit more drama to this look. Just using my nail because I got on the maroon part. You see? And I'm pretty much just focusing right here on this part of my lid. I'm not bringing it all the way this way. Bam. So I'm letting that dry. So I'm pretty much trying to keep my eye down a little because I want it to dry. While it dries, I'm going to go ahead and drink some coffee. And that's pretty much it for the eyes. I know it's a lot. It's very dramatic. But trust me, we're still not done. I still have to do the bottom line. But I like to do that bottom line once pretty much once I do the rest of my face. I like to do it after. I like to do the bottom lash line once my face is already done. So I'm going to jump into my face now. First product we're going to be going into, it's going to be the Farmasi VFX Pro Camera Ready. And I love this primer. I know I mentioned before in my other looks, if you go back and watch the other looks that I've created so far, if you want something to compare this primer to, it's very comparable to the Smashbox one. If you wanted something to reference it to. Okay, so I like to let it set in my skin for a minute, okay? It's like do 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 do. I know, I'm a trip. Sorry. I apologize. You're probably like, this girl is crazy. Anywho, while that sets in my skin, while we're waiting for my primer to get in there, I like it to melt in my skin. That makes sense. So while that goes in there, so I'm gonna go, I know I got glitter on my face, guys, I'm sorry. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do while my primer is in my skin for a minute, I'm gonna go ahead and go into the Express Eye Pencil, and it's in the color brown from Farmasi. And I am gonna tide line my waterline, and I am gonna put some on my bottom waterline. We're not gonna put an eyeliner on, so I'm gonna go ahead and tide line my waterline on top. So now that we had our primer set in our face for a minute, and also I put on eyeliner, I'm gonna go ahead and go into my foundation. It's the VFX Pro Camera Ready, and this color is in the color 03, and it's the shade Vanilla. So I'm gonna put it in the back of my hand. I do put 2 squirts, and if I need more, I'll go back in there. And I'm gonna take my beauty blender. Just stamp it on there real quick, and then we're gonna go back in here and start blending, so don't worry. I didn't wet my beauty blender this time. It's okay. I usually like to use it wet because I feel like it covers so much more. Take one more pump. Bounce it on your face. Okay, so now that we pretty much put our foundation on, I'm going to be going into this Farmasi liquid concealer, and the color I use is an 03. While I place my concealer, I'm going to be going into the Farmasi. This is the Flawless Touch Cream. And yes, it looks a little dark, but I'm going to use this to contour my face. I do go over that with powder. Yes, believe me, I know it looks a little intense, but trust the process. Okay, I know it looks a little intense. After I place this cream contour, I'm going to go ahead and blend it out. And I do use my beauty blender for that. And I'm pretty much just blending out the harsh lines that I placed down with that contouring. I like to do my chin like this just because I feel like it looks so much better. Anywhere I placed that contouring. What I'm going to do first is go into this shade, and this is from the Farmasi face sculpting palette. I'm going to use the lightest shade, and this is going to be just for under my eyes. And then we're going to be using these two shades to be for my contouring. I'm going to put this over that cream contour that we just placed. And I'm going to be using this fluffy brush. This is a Bare Minerals brush, and like I said, I was going to be using those two shades, and that's going to be for our contouring. And we're just putting that above the contouring we just placed, the cream contour. I know it looks like a lot, but I promise you, once we start blending it out, you'll see when I'm done. The way I like to do it is I like to build it up, like I like to go in with a lot of product, and then what I like to do is then go back in with the same brush that we're going to use to set our rest of our face. You'll see right now, because you're probably looking at like, dang girl. So I'm going to go into the brush G42, and I like to just go ahead and go above the cream contour that we just placed, and then right here on the bottom of my lip. Okay, now to set the rest of our face, we're going to be using the Airspun. I really like the way this smells. If you have not smelled it, or if you don't really like the smell, I appreciate it. I love it. I'm going to be going into the Y1 brush, and I like to set the rest of my face now. And I just go over it roughly. This is the part that I tell you I kind of just blend everything together to make it look more cohesive. I have a big old forehead, so I really contour that thing. I have a big old forehead, so I have to make sure I really contour that. Since we dragged our contouring all the way down to our chin, I just go back in with this brush and blend it out. Like I said, I use this brush just to blend everything out. I'm wearing a black shirt and you can see everything. Now we're going to be going into the same colors that we used on our lid area, the color called Boutique and the color called Love That. And we're just going to smoke that bottom line out, okay? So you see how I just pretty much smoked it out with those same shades, and I'm just pretty much making sure everything's blended. Bam. Yo, I forgot to put blush on. So we're going to be using a Farmasi blush, which it looks like this. And this color is in the number 17. And then I'm going to be using the R4 from Morphe to place that blush down. And as you see, I place it on the apples of my cheeks first, and then I swipe it up. The total opposite of when I place my contouring, I like to start from here and then brush it down. Just talking about that. I wanted to place it there. Pretty much place it everywhere on my face. I love blush. I used to not like blush. Honestly, I hated blush before. Now I'm going to curl my lashes. I'm going to be using the L'Oreal Voluminous Base first, and then you'll see. Then I'm going to be going into mascara, and then we're going to put falsies on. After I put on the L'Oreal Voluminous Base, I like to go ahead and let it sit in there for a minute. I'll let it dry down, and then I go in there with my regular mascara. Okay, so now that I let that base set, I'm going to go ahead and go into my favorite mascara ever, the CoverGirl Lash Blast, and it looks like this. Just make sure you cover all that base, because if not, your lashes will look white. Okay, so next we're going to be going into lashes. I'm going to go ahead and use some lashes that I actually got from one of my good friends. She used to sell lashes. I'm not sure if she's restocking. I know she was looking for a new distributor. Sorry, my baby. But I'm not sure if she found one or not. So these are actually from her. I'm not sure if she's selling them, but if you want to message me, and I can message her and ask her. So now we're getting into lashes, and the lash adhesive that I like to use, this is the Lash Couture, and it's the clear one. I usually like to go for the one that's black, but I wasn't able to find it this time that I went to the store, so I just got the clear one. Yeah, baby. Sorry if you hear my baby. So what I do is I roll my lashes like this. So what I'm doing is making sure I'm air drying them, and then we're gonna go into lips, okay? I like to air dry them. Just make sure you air dry your lashes, and then you place them. Make sure they're tacky, because if you place them before they're tacky, they're just gonna be moving all over the place. So what I like to do is get my tool like this, look down, and then place the middle part first. Once that middle part is set, I like to start working on the ends. I literally like to count down, like if you want to know like roughly how long do you have to wait for the glue to dry, I literally count down to like 45 seconds. I literally count down to 45 seconds. If you don't believe me, I literally do. So after I place that lash on there, I just start wiggling the ends just to make sure it is in there. But now I'm going to let it really dry in there. And then once it fully dries, I like to go back in and start messing with it just to make sure it is going to stay still and not move anywhere. Because if it starts moving, then you're like, what the hell? Then you're like, what's going on? You know? So let me paste some glue on my lash. Same thing with this lash. We're just gonna go ahead and air dry it. Count 45 seconds. Now I'm going to be using the color Motivated for my lippy. So this is the final look. I hope you guys appreciate it, and subscribe to my channel if you don't have a chance. Sorry you hear my baby in the background. If you have any questions regarding any of the products that I use, just shoot me a message. I don't mind telling you guys. I hope I was thorough in the explanation on what I used and all that good stuff. But if you have questions regarding anything, please let me know. Subscribe to my channel, and what else can I tell you? But I hope you appreciate it. Thank you. Bye. Adios, chicas. Muchos corazones. Besitos. Bye.